So if we think about it and draw an analogy to an earlier familiar phrase, the era of big finance, or of so-called laissez-faire, and of the social policies that accommodated them, was over, or so we thought. And what that opened the door for was a social and economic reform agenda far more sweeping than would have been imaginable only months before. So again, the point here is that it's the economic crisis really that I think is the bottom line in fueling the extraordinary expectations associated with this presidency and its transformative power. So before getting to the question of what Obama has learned from history in pursuing his social policy and his change agenda, I want to say a few things about what he can learn as an ambitious reformer from earlier moments of profound transformation in social policy. Now, and here, you know, one could point to many, many moments of profound change, but I'll confine myself to the 20th century U.S., and in particular to two profoundly important moments of social policy change. One, the New Deal, of course. How can we avoid that? In fact, no one did. Talk of the New Deal was the shorthand for Obama's transformative presidency. But also, I point to the Reagan Revolution as well. And what I would point to these moments, and here when I'm talking about moments, I really mean extended periods of transformation as opposed to, you know, the first couple of years of an administration. But I would point to these two as moments of transformation that really were on a par with at least the prospects for change that Obama is promising and that we, I would argue, do face today. One thing that can be learned is that in addition to building on, 10 minutes, okay, in addition to building on important political and ideological realignments, both the New Deal and the Reagan era social policy set out very explicitly to change the regulatory, the protective, and the redistributive role of the state vis-a-vis the market and the citizenry. I mean, these were very explicit and explicitly articulated efforts to change, and I don't mean simply narrowly the role of government, but to talk about it explicitly as in a relationship with both the market and the citizenry. Now, from this FDR, of course, the effort was to expand the role of government in regulation and reform and in the lives of citizens. Reagan's, at least rhetorical effort, was to reduce it. But with this change in the role of government in the lives of citizens and in the market, there was an effort, again very explicitly, to change the terms and the expectations of social citizenship as the basis of a new framework for social policy. Now, FDR, of course, the most famous iteration of that is the Economic Bill of Rights. The idea that we need a second Bill of Rights, a whole new set of ideas about what it makes full citizenship in the United States possible in a complex and a new economy, given the challenges that we face, if you will. For Ronald Reagan, it was a very different sense of the need for change in social and economic citizenship. In fact, his idea, of course, of social citizenship was that individuals needed to be free from government so that the power of both property rights, of entrepreneurship, and of the market could be unleashed. In any case, what they both shared was an awareness of the need to articulate a different idea of economic and social citizenship as the basis for their social policy agenda and their social policy agenda, their social policy transformations. Now here, I'd argue we could also talk about the Great Society as a transformational moment in social policy, not so much in an effort to redefine social citizenship as in its effort to extend the New Deal idea of social citizenship to groups that had previously been excluded. The larger point, though, was that what made these moments in social policy transformational was not simply, and in fact not principally, particular pieces of legislation like the Social Security Act, even though that was a major achievement in and of itself. And not so much the legislative detail as the underlying vision of a different idea of social and economic citizenship that would be that would need to happen in order for the transformation to take place. Okay, a second and related point that I would bring up in what made these moments transformational is that in both the New Deal and the Reagan Revolution, changes in social policy and social welfare policy in particular were used to leverage and accompany broader shifts in political economy. And they were, again, articulated as such. Now this, of course, this link between social policy change and political economy is an understanding that can be traced back, centuries, and it can be certainly traced back to various iterations of English poor law, as Karl Polanyi had famously told us, and its role, English poor law reform, and its role in providing the kind of workforce infrastructure for the great transformation towards industrializing capitalism. In the case, though, of both the New Deal and, again, the Reagan Revolution, social policy changes were articulated as part of a shift in political economy. In the case of the New Deal, towards a Keynesian political economy that's focused on full employment, that's focused on work as the basis of the social rights of citizenship, but that also shift towards an idea of both mass consumerism and shared prosperity as the basis of a democratic political economy. From Reagan's point of view, social policy changes were linked to a shift, a very different kind of shift in political economy, towards capital, towards the returns to capital, towards a disempowered vision of labor, and of course, in shorthand, we could call that more of a Friedmanite economy. Again, the point is that what made these moments transformational was that both the awareness of and the link between social policy reform and reform of political economy. A third thing that could be learned from earlier moments of social policy transformation is about the crucial importance of mobilized social groups and social movement